Believe that.
These niggas keep talking, these bitches be capping, they gon' make a nigga do it. My whole foreign and the bitch bad, might fuck around and make a movie. Put my pain in my music. Nigga on rock out. Niggas hang in my city, but I'ma put them on the map. Yeah, I don't owe nobody shit, my nigga. Of course I think I own the shit, little nigga. Bitch, if you fit here, what a shoe if you feet. Throwing shots like Curry. Fast car, no swerving. I fade the birds till they chirping. Cause the people all feel worth it. I'm with whatever you eat. If you got an issue, you know we can solve it. Pull up on who? Bitch, I'ma step, man, fuck all that talking. My gang gon' go.
Alright, welcome back. So, we had KVK just passed a few days ago. And again, I burnt. So, this time it was by a 1.5 million guy. Let me look through my reports. I don't think I have recording on this, but I did save the report on it. Now if we go here, it was first guy that attacked me was actually somebody named Ginge. He was about 700 million might, I believe. I can't see his gear right now, but yes, he was 700 million might. And it was during KVK at Kingdom 549. This happened when they were trying to take our fort, and they all ported around me, and nobody wanted to hit except this guy. So anyway, he's familiars are not maxed, 20% here, and his increased infantry is only by 1.5. And for me, I'm using this particular familiar because my thought behind this was that almost every single time I get hit, 99.9% of the hits that I take, they don't burn me, and it's not enough for them to do much damage beyond my infirmary. So by having other type of familiars that, whether it's increasing my attack or infantry HP or decreasing their army HP, so all of them really don't matter, because usually my 10 million troops dominate their troops so fast and so well that it only hurts like maybe 100,000 troops. So I didn't feel the need to, put additional familiar skills to fight against that. What I wanted was, by having this particular one, then when I really needed, getting hit by 1.5 billion might players, then I thought maybe they would activate and help me along the way. So I was actually testing this, and I got them up to, I don't know, level 4 or 5 so far. And it was a good thing that it actually did. I did test it out, and I think we can actually see what happened. Let's go to the battle report first. So within battle report, he sent in 270k here with some siege and buffers. See, like this particular instance, they basically only do about 90k damage. And from the hits that I've taken so far, I don't know if I want to share this, but all the people who trap know that infantry attacks are more dangerous to traps than cav attack. Even though we are in infantry phalanx, their cav attack gets taken out pretty much by our massive amount of range that we have, that it doesn't hurt as bad. They may hurt more troops, but ultimately they get capped by that. So real good players actually know to do an infantry blast on traps. Anyway, for me, since last time, about a month ago when I burnt, so what I did was I actually added additional troops to the front line. So I'm at 2.8 million here, and I've added some more archers, and I've been pretty much on war talent the whole time, but I still train troops like my archers or cataphracts just to up them up little by little. It takes longer, but you know, I got them training all the time anyway still. So with this particular person, they sent in good heroes, good familiars. Now I got, these are my heroes on the wall, and pretty much they wounded 91,000. It's really not going to do much, especially if you're sending what, 200, what did they send? Did they send 375? Yeah, even with 375, unless you're sending some max familiars at this trap, it's not going to really work. So I wasn't really worried about it. And a lot of people think that higher the might, harder they hit. No, that's not true. Once they get to a certain point, it's really about their familiars they have, the gears and the jewels. So anyway, with this person, let's look at the battle here, what's happening. And see, they're in cav phalanx and I'm in infantry phalanx. Let's see. Okay, so what I want to see is, I want to see if my familiar activate here. I seriously doubt it, just because I don't lose enough troops. And at this point, I'm not really worried about it. Whether his familiar activates or not, it doesn't really matter to me, because I have enough troops to completely dominate him so fast. I don't think my familiar will activate here in this case. The reason why, again, I put him there is, I put him there to activate when I need him against much more powerful players out there. So we don't really have problem with this person, even if they they activated 9 times here. Okay, so nothing special, nothing out of norm here. This is what I'm used to seeing most of the time. And I expect that almost every time, even from 1.5 billion guys. I don't shy away from it, because I feel that I will still capture them if they don't have the right familiars and equipment, or right gear and right troop composition. So let's look at the next person, Nash. This is where I failed, and let's look at his. It's 1.5 billion. I'm not sure if this was his gear. I don't think so, because I believe it was an infantry blast. But here, I don't think he had the general title at that time. I don't think so. He could have, but you know, I don't think it would have really mattered anyway. So let's look at the report. 375k, 5700 survived, and luckily only 87k red dead. So you know, I will take this trade every single time, because those 80k dead is actually T1 range that you'll see later. But you know, as a trap, you always want to cap their leader, is what you want. So let's look at the report. Now again, my familiar we're used to. Now he sent, by looking at his familiars, I could tell he sent all infantry. So these are max too, so 100% when 10% of your infantry falls. And then you got your increased army max HP by 15. But next two are the ones that's really lethal against traps, or even just rallies or whatever. So Brutal Bunny deals 150% damage every 4 seconds up to 5 times to one of the largest enemy squad. My largest enemy squad being range. Damage is based on initial infantry attack when 8% of your troop has fallen. So that's that. And this one, Nasty, deals 600% damage based on your initial infantry attack to the largest enemy squad when 4% of your troops have. So we'll look at the video later, see how they activate. But let's look at the report. He sent straight infantry, just enough siege there. Now let's look at mine. It looks like somehow he got to this, right? And that's because of his familiars that's actually hitting my back line. It's not his infantry troops that's actually getting through my infantry line and getting to my back line. It's actually the familiars that's doing that. And since I've upgraded to 2.8 million, you notice my casualty here was 333,000. And some of you that seen my other video where about a month ago where Cannon burnt my castle, I had less front line. He actually ended up burning about 550,000. And I think with the familiar and the gears, I think potentially these two may be very similar in hit their attack power or attack stats. Now, only thing I can see is that possibly because I've increased my front line, maybe less actually got hurt. So from here, what I'm thinking is what I need to do is maybe increase my front line even more. I will go up to maybe 3 million this time just to test it out. And I'll push up to, I'm willing to even push up to 3.5 if I need to. But I want to test it out so that way for future reference and future traps that's being in the process of getting made, obviously we have to work together. I've been working with this another guy named Doc from one of my guilds about coming up with the right comp against those Bon Appetit and Brutal Bunny. So we're still working on it. Once we do figure it out, we're going to probably make a video on that as well. But so my thoughts on this is increase my infantry front line to maybe 3 million and see how that does, and possibly see if the injury goes down. And by lowering my injured front line, it may give me more space in my infirmary, so when the archers get hit, they still won't overflow the infirmary. Is my thought process on this. And then also what I'm going to focus on was something that I've never focused on before. And if we look at my heroes here, so if we look at my hero here, you'll notice my range hero is actually a tracker, but I usually use Snow on this, Snow Queen. But with this particular account, Tracker happened to already be gold, so that's why I was using her. But main difference between Tracker and Snow Queen is Snow Queen has HP, and taking her to gold gives me a 50% range HP. And I think it may be possible when these two, Bunny and Bon Appetit, do their little thing, that having more HP for my archers or range may actually decrease the number of them getting hit or getting them into red. So my thought process is now at this point what I'm going to play with is increase front line and then also increase the HP and change out my hero from Tracker to Snow Queen. So I think potentially backline HP may actually play a very important role against these familiars, which something none of us really even talked about or thought about, because we only worried about the attack coming out of the backline. But with these familiars hitting the backline, maybe. So it's still in the process of, I'm working with it. I don't know if it's right or not. And I thought with this familiar, adding the goblin familiar might help, but I mean, it didn't help enough. So we'll see the video on it. But you can see here that my infirmary got full at 570 whatever thousand, and it only overflowed by 87k. So it's much better result than last time when I lost $500,000 in red on archers. So it's looking better. We're tweaking still. So let's look at the battle. And it's still not close battle, but the thing is, if we can get wounded versus killing their troop, killing like 150,000 of T4 on their side, that's, hey, I don't care if I burn. That's a good trade for me. So let's look at the battle. So that Weevil is one of the familiars I'm actually thinking about now putting up on my wall, because I believe it gives me HP. And another one was maybe the Gnome, because it gives me range attack. Those two are potentially what I'm thinking about putting up instead of see, my familiar is not activating right now, so it's not really worth it. But his familiar has activated several times, and even did with this guy, Hearty Feast. No, not Hearty Feast, but this one, Brutal Bunny, already did their thing, and Bon Appetit came and did their thing. So look how bad my morale goes down, and we'll look at the morale again. And see, my familiar just came on now, so it did help once, but it wasn't enough. It needs to. So any of these, you know, where you lose 4%, 10%, it's not good enough for defensive to put on your wall. And we knew that, but I thought possibly with big familiars coming, maybe it would activate them quicker, is what my thought process was. Now let's look at it one more time, and then watch, pay attention to how much my morale goes down when that familiar hits the back line. And that's, I think, where we're losing the battle here. So we're at 100%. Watch from 100% after their familiars right here activate. 69%. It hits that quick, and then Brutal Bunny throws another one. So basically, Bon Appetit just did so much damage, and I think by having stronger HP, potentially we might be able to stop that. I think, maybe, but I definitely want to play around with it just to see, and because I'm thinking, man, there's got to be a way. We can't. Solo traps out there. There's a way, I'm sure. Eventually we can figure out. So that's what I'm hoping. Again, so I will up my front line, increase HP, change my one of the castle wall station hero to Snow Queen for HP. And here's a little clip of me back on the Wonders after I burned. I was trying to actually bait for a second hit, but the guy actually never ended up showing up, so. So I think that's about it on that. Nothing else much happened. You know, of course, the first guy's hit finished my solo for me. I think I ended up with like 13 or 15 million for the KVK, and luckily I didn't have to do much. And you know, it was a dead kingdom. Our kingdom was pretty much dead. All the family actually moved out and whatnot, so we will be catching up with them later. But for now, yeah, it was like 2-3 guilds in our kingdom versus same thing with other kingdoms as well. So that was pretty much it. So yep, that's it. Any questions, leave me a comment. or whatever. But you know, you guys know I love talking about traps and finding out or coming up with new creative ways to trap people. So I'm all about it. Thanks.